We are live.
Right, I guess we're live. Before calling this meeting to order, I'd like to ask commissioners to refrain from using the chat feature on Zoom. All questions should be made publicly unless it is a computer connectivity issue. I guess that just applies to you, Uncle Des, today. The rest of us are here in person in Hilo. Uncle Des, are you feeling well enough to do a pule? You're muted.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys enjoy your meal. I'm going to order DoorDash. Amen.
Beautiful pule.
Yeah, e puli ka ko na ka mea he ka he manahoi ka olelo a ke a koa. He oi nui ko na mamua ko ka pahi ka ua o e lua. I o ana o ka awale ke ala a me ka uhane. O na ami a me ka lolo o ia ka luna kanawai no ka no ono o a me kana au. Because the word of Keako has power and is greater than that of a double-edged sword. It cuts and separates life and the soul. Its joints in the brain. It is the judge of the soul and the heart. Amen. Oof.
Hello. Aloha mai kako. Good morning, everyone. The hybrid meeting of the Cultural Resources Commission will now come to order. Quorum has been established with 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 members in attendance. Today is Wednesday, January 14th, 2026. It is currently 10:10 a.m. Pursuant to Act 220, Sessions Law of Hawaii 2021, which amended the Sunshine Law to allow for meetings to be remotely conducted online effective January 1st, 2022, the Cultural Resources Commission will host a hybrid meeting of online and in-person participants. An in-person location has been identified on the agenda for the public to provide testimony on agenda items and to view the meeting. This meeting can also be viewed live online. A link to the YouTube live stream is provided on the county website. The video recording will remain on the YouTube channel for those who are not able to watch it live. Reports and surveys reviewed during this hearing are available on the county website. Commissioners, please be reminded that only one person may speak at a time. Raise your hand to be recognized if you have a question or comment. Commissioners, please introduce yourselves. My name is Matthew Clark. I'm the chair. And we'll just go to the right here.
Aaron Spillman.
I'm Darty Kamayo.
Aloha, I'm Ku'ulei Kakealani.
Hey, Kule.
Aloha, mai. Janet Six.
Uncle Des, Homea, number 10.
Mahalo.
I'm
CRC,
myself, by the way.
CRC staff support joining us today are Bethany Morrison, Planning Program Manager, Kim Tanaka, Planner, Ashley DeVera, Board Secretary, and Jean Campbell, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Pursuant to HRS 92-3, interested persons who want to provide oral testimony may do so either at the beginning of the meeting when the board takes public statements on the agenda or immediately before the specific agenda item is called. Staff, please indicate if there are any members of the public wishing to provide testimony online or in person.
Chair, we have no public testifiers.
Mahalo. Another opportunity to provide testimony will be provided before each of the agenda items that we're hearing today. We're going to start out today with old business of the commission. And the first thing is Kauai's significance to Hawaii's history and concerns regarding potential loss of historic resources. This is a site visit report I'll be presenting. This was at the Okwa of Kauai 1 and 2 in South Kohala District on the island of Hawaii. Do we have that presentation available? Oh, Jojo, are you online? Did you want to add anything to this ahead of time?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Aloha.
I'm
would-
joining to find out what the update is as far as Kauai High, please.
Okay, yeah, today I'll just be presenting on what we did. We're not allowed to discuss it at this meeting. We have to discuss it the next meeting. So this will just be kind of a short presentation and recommendations based on the site visit that we conducted.
Oh, okay. Can I update you then also?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Hawaiian Homelands is now working on their Hawaii Island plan, and Kauai High historic sites and burial sites are not included. Uh, so I will be making a testimony to the commission next week, Wednesday. The other thing is that the unexploded ordnance team has not visited Kauai High in about 8 or 9 years. And the Makahuna Gulch, as you saw, is now no watershed, and it erodes onto the Kauai High Road and across into the harbor. So the fishing people cannot fish behind the mats and containers where we stood because now the dirt is higher than the water level. So I wanted to include those because Hawaiian Homes is reluctant to even identify history, even though it's required in the school for learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo. And staff, am I able to ask Jojo questions during the presentation for clarification?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And this is this live and being shared? Okay. Okay. So this is Hawaii County Cultural Resource Commission Permitted Interaction Group's visit to Kauai High on October 15th, 2025. I was in attendance and Commissioner Ku'ule was in attendance. Next slide, please. The Hawaii County Cultural Resource Commission, at its hearing on August 13th, 2025, established a Permitted Interaction Group, or PIG, to investigate the identity and potential actions that could support the protection of Kauai High's history and historic resources. We later agreed to meet at a site visit at Kauai High. Sorry, that is a typo. It should have been October 15th at 4 p.m. Attendees included PIG members Matt Clark, myself, and Kule Kekelani, as well as planning department staff Bethany Morrison, Miriam Palama, and Kim Tanaka. And members of the public were also in attendance, including Jojo Tanemoto, who we just heard from, and Eddie Aikau.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I was just, so we originally met at Kauai High around 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day. We met near where they keep the canoes and launched the canoes. And we sat down and talked story with Jojo and the other community members who were there and kind of went over what we were going to do and different places we were going to visit. And Kule, feel free to jump in anywhere to add any what you may have. And I think we went in not really understanding what the CERC was there to accomplish or do to help, and kind of understood from talking with Jojo and others that it's the concern that just came across with all this planning going on and all the potential development that may occur in Kauai High. There are a lot of historic, important cultural resources that aren't necessarily being considered or addressed in a lot of these plans. And she's very concerned that we make them aware and that protections are offered for these. And I think we were kind of going in to see the areas she's talking about and also trying to understand what we as an agency that reports to the county could do to help protect those resources. The first place we went, next slide, please, was Kauai High Harbor. Oh, yep, that one, please. And at Kauai High Harbor, we met and we discuss various things, including Jojo. Sorry, was it Mahukona Gulch? Was the name of the gulch? Anyway, I believe what we're looking up at is you see the red dirt on the hill that we're standing at the harbor. The harbor is to the left, and we're looking Malka, and all that deforested or areas with no grass is causing a lot of runoff coming down, and it's ending up in the harbor, and it's preventing fishermen from being able to fish and other, it's polluting the ocean and those kind of things. So that's one of the concerns. And deforestation, I think, was caused by, goats, I think, are one, the dry conditions right now. And then there's also been fires and all sorts of stuff contributes to that and the erosion. And it can seriously affect natural and cultural resources. So that was our first visit. Did you want to add anything to that discussion, Kule, or any takeaways from?
Maybe just one thing to add and to note, Eddie Akau is a lineal descendant of the area, so that was important. Definitely to have a lineal descendant, particularly of the Akau Ohana, to be present and with us. So extremely appreciative that he made the time to come and join us.
Yes, Mala. Yeah, and so from here you can see across Kauai Bay and point you can see many of the landforms on the landscape, and we talked about those and they were pointed out to us. And some brief discussion of different issues that are happening there. And the harbor and plans to expand and different roads that are coming in as well. Next slide, please. Next, we went to the location of the former church. I'm sorry, the name of the church was escaping me. Jojo, can you help me there?
The name of the
Well, actually, I wanted to go back to the Makahuna because you
Oh.
did not mention that the army had blasted the mountain.
Oh,
so-
thank you.
Yeah, so that is why there's a lot of erosion coming off of that mountain. And I went to the unexploded ordinance this past week to let them know what they're going to do about trying to help to mitigate that, because all the stuff is going into the harbor. And then to add to that, the harbor is doing an environmental assessment right now. And they're going to use that area and pollute it with all a gravel pit. They're going to dig up everything on the harbor. That's the gas and all the asphalt and all of that, and load it right there where we said it's going to impact where everybody go fishing. So it's impacted and will be more impacted. Thank you.
Thank you. And sorry, can you please remind me, is the church that we visited, the name?
Yes, the name of the church is called Ke Ala Ho, H-O-U.
Kealaho Church. Thank you. And these are photos from where the church used to be, somewhere right in this area. There's actually graves left over there, and that is, am I correct in saying Isaac Davis's grave? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Kealaho Church is the original missionary church when they first came to Hawaii, and Kamehameha allowed them to put in a church. It also houses a crypt for Isaac Davis. He is buried there. John Young had a home in the national park area that is already registered. So we're trying to protect the crypt, the churchyard, and that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, and apparently there's no formal protections for this area right now. The church itself, I believe, burned, we were told, and fires and fire suppression activities in these areas could threaten things such as Isaac Davis's crypt. And Goulet did share a story in of the history of the area and the importance of
Thank you.
events that occurred in that area.
Thank you, Ule.
And these were just examples of different places that don't have formal protections and could be threatened by future development. We did stop next. I apologize, I don't have a picture of it, but we went and looked by there's the Blue Dolphin restaurant, and next to that is the old jail, the Kauai jail. which is pretty amazing. And we talked there about flooding is an issue that comes through. There's flood channels that can threaten those structures. Some of that needs upkeep, and as well as the potential expansion of the harbor. Those are all concerns at that location. Did you want to share anything about that, Jojo?
Actually, yes, the harbor is going to expand 2 lanes on the Kauai High Road in order to enter the harbor and exit the harbor because the big trucks keep knocking down the guardrails. It's just too small for them. So they're going to do that construction first. And so last night I had a talk with the Department of Transportation at the traffic safety meeting, and they had no clue. They say they can do what they like. And so the fire station, the Blue Dragon restaurant, and those 3 houses that are down at the harbor, uh, to them, they didn't matter because it's not what their directions were. So, you're going to be losing these historic sites. And so we need somebody to help us figure out how to register the sites. It's just way overdue, but nobody in our subdivision knows how to do that. So we need some help in training, maybe, or whatever. So that's what that corner is all about. They also are going to expand that corner because of the traffic going to Kohala and coming from Kohala. It's a traffic menace to the Department of Transportation. So it's a problem right there at the corner. That is where the original water well is located as well. But that is polluted. I don't think they're going to keep that anymore. They're just going to dig it up, is what they say. So that's where that is.
Thank you, Jojo. And then by that point it was starting to get a little bit late in the day, and we made our last stop was it's the macadamia nut processing area. I'm sorry, is the name of it?
That's what it is. It's a
Yep.
commercial area.
Okay. And we went up there, and then from there you could see the DHHL project that you were referring to, correct, Jojo?
Correct. And you can also see the Forbes Cave.
Yeah.
The face of the mountain is beginning to erode. So we're kind of wondering what's going to happen to that Forbes Cave if they develop, which is part of their master plan that they're working on right now. And they say they can do what they need to do. So we're not getting any leeway from Hawaiian Homes right now.
Yeah, so there's concerns there as well, and by that time the sun was setting. It's a beautiful scene out there, and we looked at an old building that had community is starting to have to move. Some of them are getting older, and things are changing, and just Jojo was really careful in sharing her concerns for what's going to happen to all this and who's going to take care of it, how's it going to be protected. So that was mostly what we talked about throughout the meeting, and based on those conversations, Kool-Aid didn't and I discussed with the staff, and they did help us prepare a suggested letter. If you can go to the next slide, please. And then Kool-Aid, anything else in general you'd like to share about the big site visit before we move on to the letter?
No.
Oh, so our powers are very limited, but we would certainly like to help protect these resources. And some of the potential things we discussed were helping to get funding to list historic properties out there. One of the potential funding sources we discussed was this, because we're a certified local government, there's monies available through the State Historic Preservation Division that can go to nonprofit community groups to help them steward these resources and protect them and list them on the National Register or the State Register, things like that. So I have reached out to Jessica Puff of the State Historic Preservation Division. I haven't been able to get in touch with her. I wanted to ask her to come to present to us at some point about that program and how maybe we could help channel that money into groups like JoJo's to help kick off some of these things and help them either hire expertise or develop expertise in the community for listing sites, important sites and features. Some of the more immediate things we can do, and then we can discuss this at the next meeting. I'm sorry, we're not allowed to discuss this time, but we can write a letter stating that we do recognize Kauai High's unique landscape, its sense of place, and significant contributions to Hawaiian history, and affirm that its importance of advancing preservation initiatives to safeguard the area's natural and cultural resources. At the next meeting, we can take a vote to strengthen this language or change it however we'd like. But some of the immediate things we can suggest and help is to get we can provide suggestions to the South Koala Community Development Action Committee regarding potential amendments to the South Koala Community Development Plan to emphasize the significance of Kauai's cultural history and resources, and thereby help support the long-term preservation efforts for those resources. That's something we can do right away, and because it's a county plan, I think we can help get those these resources that we're concerned about being impacted listed in there as things that people need to pay attention to. And we can also, as I discussed before, reach out and try and identify potential funding sources for the protection and preservation of these cultural resources, and perhaps even help get some money to JoJo's group. Yes.
I just wanted to ask JoJo a question too. When we're talking about that church, getting it on the national or the state register or both?
I think that's unclear at this time. I mean, I think.
How important it is, just given the fact it's the first and Kamehameha sanctioned it and all that. And then I was just looking up that the Forbes Cave is protected under.
Yeah, it
state,
is.
so those complexes, so there's some precedent to say that there's areas that have this, so.
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think we're
great,
not.
okay.
Yeah,
we're-
and yeah, so I'm just saying, I'm way I can, and as I'm sure most members here, to help you
and
get that church registered in some way.
we get to discuss this at the next
Okay,
meeting, what we're
okay,
gonna do.
sorry.
And the next part of this is we can also provide sources, resources that maybe JoJo and folks in the community aren't aware of, but we could put together an easily shareable folder of prior archaeological work, Cape Mali's work as a cultural historian, National and state register listed sites, and put together a map. And right now it's a very short list, but I think at our next meeting, maybe we could come and we could provide some additional suggestions to put in there and help implement that, to get them those resources and a link to it immediately where you can see what's been protected, what's been done, and it's just all over the place and tough for folks such as JoJo to find and to be able to access. So, JoJo, did I cover mostly what we were talking about? And I'm sorry that we can't discuss it today and get this letter out, but our next meeting, it's on the agenda, and we'll formalize the letter, strengthen it, and then it's just all over the place and tough for folks
Yes.
such as.
Yeah, actually, I do want to, because you're taking minutes, I do want to make sure that you add in the reinterment cemetery that were the people from down on the harbor. Before they did the harbor, they took the burials out. So a portion of them are not Hawaiians. They know what's not Hawaiians. They are on the side of the highway down across from the harbor entry. And the rest of that, they think were Hawaiian families that were on the harbor and got relocated to Kohala Mountain Road, next to Kohala Ranch on the boundary line. And now we're asking Hawaiian Homes to expand that area in case they come across any burials during development. Where are you going to put them? And so we were asking for that. And they were asking some more land for the people that have leases in Kauai High. And like Waimea, you got so many cemeteries all over the place. That is not provided for Kauai High homesteaders at all. And the other thing I wanted to share was there are no trails. You read about it in the documents, the not burial council, yeah, but the historic preservation, and they teach it at the university and whatnot, that there are trails like the sugarcane train, but it's not included anywhere. And Hawaiian Homes is reluctant to even identify those trails. So those things need to be included along with the rest of the information that you're looking at. And I appreciate the letter and the help. And maybe you guys can come to Kauai High and we can hold our meeting in a community center and do something like that. Thank you.
All over the invite. That's a great idea. And thank you for sharing and bringing us out there and sharing everything. I really appreciated that. That concludes this number one agenda item. Like I said, we'll be able to discuss. We will circulate the draft letter before the next meeting, and we can discuss and provide recommendations then. So mahalo Jojo for showing up, and hopefully you can make the next meeting as well.
Thank you very much. Have a good day, everybody.
That brings us to our second agenda item of old business, which is the Ainako subdivision housing project consultation request. This is a carryover from last meeting where we ran out of time. I need to recuse myself from this agenda item, and I believe that Commissioner Spielman will be taking over. I will be sitting and observing and listening.
Okay,
Mahalo.
thank you. Aloha, everybody. This is for the Ainako subdivision housing project consultation request. Location Ahupua'a, Punapoa 2 and Pi'i Honua, South Hilo District, Island of Hawaii. And the TMKs are listed. Testimony?
We have no public testimony, Chair.
What about the gentleman? Not testifying?
I'm part of this.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So I'm not sure where we left off last time. Sorry, but I think I want to open it up to OHCD and the project team. Does that sound about right? Okay. So I see Mr. Erickson on the call. It's all yours, Neil.
I'm just simply representing the county and OHCD. We were the contracting authority for Ben and Stantec to do the AIS. And so I think Ben is here for his presentation. Yeah.
Okay.
Ben Barnett, are you
Ben.
here? I'm here. I'm here. Okay. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Ben then. Thank you for having us.
Is there anything we need to put on the screen for you?
Well, so last time we had gotten through, I think, most of what I was presenting, and Janet accused me of doing an hour-long presentation.
I did not.
Check
It
the
was
minutes.
still, it was super interesting. I mean, it was super interesting.
Check the minutes.
Okay.
Anyway, so I think, do you want any kind of a recap of what we had talked about, or do you have questions or other comments that you wanted to provide for the county? That's basically I think where we left off.
So sorry, I missed last meeting, but I believe this is the off the Ainako street side,
right.
and there's a housing project. Is that right?
Correct,
Okay,
yes.
and it was in the paper several weeks or a month ago or so.
A few times.
Yeah, okay. Any graphics? Is that map right there,
I
your
do have-
binder?
Had a presentation last
Is
time.
that your graphic?
Yeah.
Did I look at that real quick? Oh, that's the ARC map.
That's the archaeology. I got a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
If you want to kind of get oriented.
Just to bring you up to speed a little bit, Aaron, is that this is a proposed subdivision for affordable housing, mostly workforce housing that would extend Kilakina and connecting across to Waianui. So the potential here is amazing. The zoning is mixed right now from RS10 to RS15, but we're going to probably go in to do higher density with the HRS 46. Or no, I'm sorry, there's different statute for us to allow us to do higher density. And so we're looking at multifamily in the lower section. And that may be our first phase, but there's been so much public opposition. We need to figure out if we're going to have to accommodate them or simply not connect to Kilakina, despite the fact I think 2 points of access and egress are super important. Anyway, that's where it is right now. And this is about a 60-acre parcel bounded on 2 sides by other properties, including state lands.
Mr. Erickson, is the higher density going to go to land use commission? Is that a process that goes to them, or are you saying the statute exempts the rezoning?
That's correct. We would end up going to the county council for approval. So this is similar to what we see other developers do for changing the density.
And
sorry, do you want me to share this PowerPoint from last?
If you could, Yes.
And sorry, just a general question. Workforce housing is like dedicated to people that are gonna sign up, maybe it's a starter home, but they work in that community. And then they
That-
actually
That's correct.
have
And they
like an
would be up to
obligation to stay there.
about 140% of the average median income.
Okay, and they have to actually live there, right? Not buy it and
That's,
rent it out.
that's,
Okay.
that's correct. And this is county land, so we can actually sell it to them with caveats that it would maintain as an affordable project.
Great. Yeah, I love that model with the county-owned land. And I believe Waikoloa, maybe Kamako and Nui is a similar type of workforce housing.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we could maybe skip down just to give you the very, very quick catch up too. Okay, skip next slide. That's where it's at. One second. So just to kind of give a sense of where it is in that 18,000 acres that the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missions got. So this was originally missionary land. And then next slide.
The Evangelical Church I saw.
Yeah, so it became the Hawaii Evangelical Association in 1853 when they decided they weren't foreign anymore. But now they're the Hawaii Conference, and but they don't own the land. They haven't owned the land since. Oh, thanks. That'll be easier if I just did it here. All right, thank you. In 1916, the county acquired the property through condemnation for a water reservation for a couple of springs that are down in the sort of Makai end of this. And starting in 1916, they held the land in that water reservation up until the 1970s when the Pi'i Honua well came online and replaced the spring. So this is when all the water system for town was being fed by surface springs, and they were piping the water down from there. But before that, there were farmers on the land. I don't have, it's kind of tiny, but I don't have great information about how far back people were farming on here. But if you can see, there's some dotted lines on there. So those are marking off these like 15 lots on the property. And we found bits of rock walls on those lots. This map was drawn in 1901, but there's a base map that I don't know how much older it really is. So inside of these lots, we've got archaeological features that look like, a lot of them look like clearing mounds for getting the rocks out of the soil, so you can try to either grow in the dirt or grow in the mounds like sweet potatoes, whatever. And then some other rock mounds are a lot more formal looking, with nice clean stacked sides and tops, which make you think maybe there could be more going on in there, possibly EV, possibly other things. There are 3 or 4 house type sites in there that are not typically the spread out Kauhale style that we would see, and they all had artifacts on there from the turn of the 20th century, so which makes me kind of think that these are probably houses for people who are up there doing the farming. And there are other things. There's some Hawaiʻi in there. The Gila boarding school ditch runs through the property. And then the springs in the Makai side of it have been developed. One of them has a concrete foundation around it. There was a watershed on top, and that was the one that was feeding into the water supply. There are a couple other springs that are lined with rocks that look like they were just kind of used there. So what we've come up with is there's our map, and all those dots are there's some 212 archaeological features that we found there.
It's extensive.
And the place names indicate lots of water.
Yeah.
And mo'o.
So, example, that's a Gila boarding school ditch, cuts through a little corner of the property. The far left-hand side of that is actually kind of dug out. And then the rest of it spills down into a stream gulch and then exits the property and continues on. It's just some inside the stream. There's some spots where they've reinforced the wall. These are, it's a microscopic picture, but this is just another distribution map of where all the different features are. You can see the rock walls, but I point out the rock walls aren't like nice, clean, big walls like you get over on Kona side. They're everything in here is pretty beat up from the forest that's grown up around it. So there's guava and autograph trees and some albizia that's in there, and it's really kind of playing havoc on it. This is our science slide, where we have a histogram, but it's just showing that there's a whole bunch of mounds and a bunch of a few of the other kinds of sites that we found. Here's some examples of the rock mounds that we see. These are the ones that look more piled up. You know, they're either falling down or they were never really formally stacked.
As far as you know, the area wasn't bulldozed at any point.
There's like one spot that looked like it had been dozed, but it looks like once it became the water reservation, the county more or less left it alone. And so, you know, there's probably water damage and a lot of pig damage, maybe people coming in robbing out rocks, but no extensive bulldozing that we saw.
No coral or shells.
We didn't see anything like that. Just the only things we saw.
Some things like, you know, like a post-contact burial from a pandemic or something.
No, nothing like that. So like one handful of ceramics near one of the house sites, and then bottles, and a shovel and a hoe. So we have strong evidence that people were farming there.
Yeah. Well, I think people were farming there before Western people got here.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
So I think when you said that they were the first person to own the land, you want to go back and say Hawaiians had it.
Yes,
Like Kanaka.
certainly.
Yeah, I know. So that, and as you know, a lot of these rocks were taken apart from other features, and so you have this kind of noise.
Right, exactly.
It makes it hard.
And I'll add that what we were not able to do under this first phase of work was to do subsurface testing. So we haven't dug any holes yet to get more information about older parts, older use, and sort of show where that was happening. And one of the things that I want to do going forward is to discuss with Shifty, you know, barrel site specialist and with Sean over there too, because
Miley.
Yeah. You know, some of those mounds potentially could have, you know, people in them. There's a pu'u on the property, and
That's on the map on the eastern end.
yeah,
of
on
the
the
island.
eastern end. Yeah. So there's like an orange dot sort of there. So that pu'u, the first couple times it's named in writing are on the first one's on the map for the Land Commission Award to the ABCFM. And so in 1853, they write on that map, you know, there's a large rock on Pu'u Mohihi. And then in 1895, there's another map that uses that large rock to do the survey, and they also label it Mohihi. Actually, it's Mo'ohihi, the way it's written, but you know, spelling back then. Then in 1901, that white map with the dotted lines on it, the surveyor who does that one uses a rock on top of that thing, but he calls it Kupapa'u Hill Trig Station. So suddenly he's talking about Kupapa'u and says that there's a rock with a plus in it on top of an old Kupapa'u on top of the hill.
Like a man-made mark across.
Yeah. So, you know, you carve it into the rock, so you can go find it later. The problem is up on that hill, oh gosh, I don't know where that slide is.
Is it cross-oriented cardinally, or?
We didn't find it.
Okay.
Yeah, because up on that hill, I'm gonna jump way down. I apologize for this. Okay, so there's the survey paperwork about that. And so up there now, there's this concrete slab with a pipe in it that's being used. It's probably early 20th century addition, but there's no pile of rocks. There's no rock constructed anything up there. But there are some boulders and things that we saw up on top, which seem maybe a little bit out of place. And there's two kind of areas that are either sunken down or dug out on top. So I'm not sure what happened up there. I haven't come across anything that says I haven't been able to get any records from the church either about whether they've been, they went up there and moved anybody when they, took possession of it. The good thing is that the county's design leaves this completely out of the development area. So this would be part of about 20 acres of green space that gets preserved as part of their plan.
There was a map that showed, maybe Eric, maybe Neil had shown it, but it showed like lighter density to the west, heavier density to the east. Is there a map that overlays that with the ARC sites and the overall?
Got it easily right there.
Okay, that'll help. Thank you. Oh yeah, there you go. Because that's what I was missing, that lower portion.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is very small, kind of hard to see. So
Basically the bottom third you're leaving natural.
right, bottom third would be left natural. There's that stream along the southern end that the Gila boarding school ditch goes into. Everything below that will be left alone as well. And then we're planning right now to create a preservation area on the Mauka side that would keep a bunch of those agricultural field features in place there, and then a few pockets of preserved features that we think help tell the story of the place really well.
So that's like identified as 1, 6, 8, 11, and 13 on this map.
That's right.
Okay. Or there's 2 ones, but yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah. So that's our preservation area 1. There's a guide that goes to that in the report.
Okay. But there's like a road going through there, right? Okay. I see.
Yeah, right.
And then it looks like on this map, you have preservation and data recovery.
That's, we're proposing, right now, we're thinking of doing data recovery for everything in purple.
Yeah.
And then orange would be preservation areas. And then what we'd like to do is interpret a few things as well with, sort of if the neighborhood there has a way to read about the history while they're walking around.
And black isn't called out one way or the other, but those are just known
Right,
ARC
yes,
sites.
that's correct.
Okay. So are those going to be preserved in place?
No, those would be destroyed through the construction.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
and-
That's a good map.
Yeah, and this is a very draft version based on just the surface archaeology we've done so far. And this is where we're thinking at this point early in the process.
Ben, because it's right, it's the first hospital goes up there in the 1890s. And I was just looking at all the epidemics that hit Hilo.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, because you have those mounds, and what I found when in my work in Kau and Pahala was one burial mound we found, it was from influenza. It was Japanese, so I'm just wondering, because the proximity of this to the hospital and those nicely faced mounds, which don't seem to be traditional in the sense of having coral. I'm just wondering if you did any research into any kind of epidemic or anything that, could have caused, because my concern is the not so much the ag areas, but again, the area seemed significant prior to Western coming. And then, things were taken apart and moved around. But when you have those nicely faced mounds, I know, I'm just wondering if there could be a post-contact epidemic. Because the first one comes in 1803 and then measles is in 1853. So there's just a lot of, and then the hospital's right across the street, pretty much.
Well,
I'm just wondering.
yeah. Well, I mean, the first hospital's down farther in town, though.
No, it says this on, I just Googled it. Maybe it's wrong. I mean, it said it was the first hospital in Hilo and it said 1890 on Rainbow Drive. So I could be lower.
Is that from the Rainbow Drive?
I'm not doing
Is that-
extensive
Yeah,
detail.
no.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking because of we're working at Hawaiʻi on Maui,
Yeah,
which we have over 1,000 mounds, and everyone said they were agricultural and they hit them and they had EV in them. And so now we're looking at Hawaiian newspapers and Hawaiian language where that area was kapu during a plague. So we believe now that these are likely post-contact and could be Kanaka as well as immigrants that are buried, and one mound had 12. So there were a considerable amount. So that's why I'm just wondering, I'm just, conflating what I'm dealing with in one place, and perhaps this could be here,
Yeah.
as well as my work in Pahala.
No, I can give it another look.
Okay. It's just something that,
I was just going to quote with you over to the hospital because we
yeah. Oh, yeah,
we're
no.
the architects, or Matt's not here. Is he?
No, I mean, again, I'm just using the Google, so I'm.
That
It
34.
says Rainbow Drive, 1897, iconic location, and shows.
Yeah, that's not correct, actually. That was
Okay.
Keaukaha.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. AI is not everything.
Well, no,
Yeah, I'm
no,
just- yeah.
no, there's more to that story. I can tell you later.
Yeah. I was just wondering, given the proximity to the,
Yeah, no, that's a great thing.
is there also a tuberculosis with that sanatorium there? There seems to be a lot of things in that area that could be indicative of why those could possibly be burial mounds. Again, things are taken apart and moved around, so I know it's very complicated, site, and so, and you've only done above ground, so that's all.
Yep, no, I'll add that to my list of things to look into more.
And
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If and when you get into subsurface or data recovery or clearing areas, what's the backup plan if you find something?
Okay, so we would do the testing first to help. Again, this is still like early in the design phase. And so actually Neil's been great in letting me sort of say like, well, what about this and this and help play with, designing. So if we go in with subsurface testing and we find things that are significant, then we'll, go back to the drawing board and see what we can do. Is this something that can be preserved? Is it something that needs to be preserved in place? And we'll work through that. Shifty hasn't seen this yet. We haven't gone through the 68 review yet. So data recovery, all that stuff will happen after we get their determination effect. And so that's all after the fact. After we figure out what else is there that subsurface testing is going to tell us about. And any other consultation we're able to do as well.
That answers my question. Excuse me, Chair, but you did say that you haven't approached Shipdi yet.
I've mentioned it to them, but we're not in the actual 68 review process yet. The design is not far enough along for them to review. And when I reached out to them, they said, well, we're looking forward to your 68 submittal. So,
there's a swamp. There was a swamp on one of the old maps, correct?
Yeah,
It showed a swamp. So do you know how far down before you haven't done any subsurface? You don't know how far down you go before you get hit groundwater, right?
we saw groundwater coming up in those springs,
Mhm.
and it's really, really wet up there.
Yeah, that's why I'm wondering, like, as far as, just stable building area, and let alone all the arc sites. And did you do a place name to look at those? I know sometimes the Okina can be moved around.
Yeah, we did do place name.
I was always just wondering, because this is such a old place with all the local and
Yeah. So I was talking to Noah Gomes about place names, and so he offered offered what he's learned so far about the area, and didn't have any good stories or anything like that. I feel in a way maybe the church's influence is kind of hidden a bunch of stuff from this, or just it's kind of fallen away, or it's not easy to get to for me yet. So
and you might note that there's very little soil on this site. It's all lava flows, and we can look back at the history of the lava flows and give these guys an update if you'd like. This is all rock.
well, how did they farm there?
There are pockets of soil because we did get
So
mud.
you think it's been eroded? It's probably had more soil and it's been lost,
I
or?
think there's been a lot of erosion.
Because you're gonna have a lot of tubes. If you've got lava and you've got springs, you've got tubes. So that's the other thing that's a concern always when you start doing subsurface, that.
What's the age of the flow?
Oh gosh, drawing a blank. It's younger than right below Hawaiʻi. I'm sure I have a slide somewhere buried in here. If you give me 1 sec, I think I do have that in here. Slideshow, how do you go? Sorry. Okay, so the lava flow that we're on, QT, 11,000 to 30,000 years. So it's still old, but it's not.
Yeah, I think that's part of the Mauna Loa flow, actually.
It's Mauna Loa.
It's just a few places like that.
Yeah. So so there's pockets. Janet, back to your question. There's pockets of soil. There's some places that they're very cleared off. And in some of these, if we look up here, inside some of those areas that don't have, you can see where the walls are making those little lots, and then there aren't mounds. So a lot of those
probably LCAs or something, and people cleared them?
Well, that's what I'm wondering too. Are these, there are no LCAs claimed up here. And that seems to be consistent with what was happening with the missionaries, with their large land holdings on this island, because I went and checked all the other ones. It was like, how many upland? And so there's no claims up here.
Yeah.
And you know, they're just funky enough shaped
Uh-huh.
to make me think that these could be on the boundaries of the old, you know,
Yeah.
Kihapai or Mala that are up there. But I've got no names
Yeah.
to go with. I've got the names of the few people way down in town who got lots and who claimed things. It just seems that even by 1853, when they put in for the Land Commission Awards, I don't know how many Hawaiians are still up there and how many other people are leasing from them. I'm missing that record.
Well, how'd they get the land? Who gave it to them?
The king,
So it was a
yeah, they got it in 1827.
land grant, right?
Even
No?
before then,
Is that before then?
yeah, 1827, the king and Ka'ahumanu said, here's some land, take this. And so gave them this one, all 18,000 acres of the Aqua. And then they, you know, proved up their claim to it in 53.
And sorry, just to clarify on
Yes,
this map, we can see that white, those white amoebas 1, 4, and 6.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then there's a white like property line that's bigger than the project area.
Yeah, okay, so let me clarify that. So the background of this map is from the 1978 reconnaissance survey that Akishinoto did when the county was planning to make this into a wilderness park. So they did an environmental assessment for this master plan for a wilderness park. But they didn't do any archaeology. So the first draft of that EA says, there's no archaeology up here.
It's Aki.
Well, then they called him in, and Aki went and walked around with Eric Mori, and they did about a day's worth of field work up there. And those amoeba blobby shapes up there are the clusters of archaeological features that they found, you know, as best as they could map it, because they also say the place was just, you know, choked with ulu hay, and there's large areas that they couldn't even get to. So the mapping's not like super accurate, and so you can kind of see how with our GPS, which was kind of acting up as well with the tree cover, you can see where, you know, what we found kind of matches what they found and kind of doesn't.
But you're not doing anything where like 6 would be over here, 4 and 1 would be over here.
No. So that orange outline is what the limits of the project would be. And so that's, you know, the large part is the 60 acres that the county owns. And then there's the stem going up to Waianui to connect with the road.
So the remnant areas will remain untouched forest.
Yeah, that's all state property. That has nothing to do with this project.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
And we didn't go up into the state parcel except for that road corridor. So I haven't seen what 1 and 4 and 6 look like these days. Does anybody else have any questions?
I don't have a question, but just some thoughts going through my mind. When we look at high density, right, those words, we're looking at more hale in an area, and maybe the mo'olelo are yet perhaps to be revealed, but there's already revelation in the names, in the place names, and just the surrounding areas. It is, I don't know that it's surprising that Keali'i Kamehameha and Ka'ahumanu would have given this land. When you look at a place that's boggy or water, that's the wealth. So to entrust perhaps or give Aina land that, again, big association with Akua, Mo'o are considered Akua vai, water. We all know it or have been taught and heard water guardians. They are water Akua. They are goddesses. All set in place when Mo'oinanea, ancestress of all Mo'owahine, is going to assume her home atop Mauna Kea at Waiau. Before she does that, she's going to set in place all Mo'o in their respective homes, Pai Aina wide. She'll go to every island And every bog, kahavai, river, stream, lokoi'a, and she will place them into their respective homes until going to her supreme home atop Mauna Kea. So when you look at just the name of the surrounding areas, and you said there's fog, there's marsh, there's a kahavai, there's streams, there's punavai, it's right in its name. So that's highly indicative. It already gives us good record of maybe there is or isn't extensive evidence, if we will, of agriculture, but it's right in its name. Again, it's indicative already, just in the Inoa Aina. So then interesting about that pu'u and that name, and when you look at hihi or ho'ohihi, that's gonna mean to like enrapture, entangle. It also will mean to creep, crawl, and something interesting, I would love to be there at some point perhaps, but it also means to hiss. So that's sound. Cree, what could Cree? Hiss, chicken Cree. Like, oh. So anyway, kind of maybe my mind is going all over the place as it usually does, but to look at housing development in this kind of area, water is gonna remain, water has memory. Water going go where water's supposed to go. Water will be where water's supposed to be, where it was naturally made and created. And sure, we can think about diversions, and you said there are a way, that's the genius, I think, of our people in being able to divert way to the places that they needed to produce, right? Food. But I don't know, in this highly aqua, particularly aqua Hawaii, just doesn't sit well to me to have how, and again, I can appreciate though, right? We all need hale, we all need places to live. And if this is workforce, so is it really that we are going to provide for people who already live here, the residents that may be in multi-generational hale, that instead of having 4 generations in one house, maybe one generation of this household could go into one of these houses. Perhaps that might be one of the good things. And I'm not saying that this is bad, but I just looking at high density and we adding more, is there enough is there enough infrastructure? When we wipe this clean, then it no longer exists. And is that where we're tacking forward to just places remaining just in its name? And that's what all we're gonna have left is perhaps its name and no other attributes or
Yeah.
what else? What else? And do we just keep going down this track? So it is difficult to know, right? We need hale. We need places to live, but at the expense of sites and places like this, it's hard. It is a hard thing to even sit on a table and have discussions about, but here we are. By choice, we sit on these tables to engage in these discussions. And sometimes I think, for what? Why? And then I know the why, many whys. And that's, I guess, the charge as a Cultural Resource Commission is to voice these things or these sentiments.
Right.
Not easy, but I would just say, I'm glad you reached out to Noah, whomever else you can. But even just and not to say that it's just surface, but when you look at Puna, there's a Puna. Look at Vai, all of the names of Vai around it. We don't need to be a PhD in Olelo Hawaii to Maupopo, what this place is already telling us. So I would proceed with caution, as it appears we do. But it is not easy.
I want to add one thing when she mentioned the word expense, and you're talking about the expense of culture and expense of knowledge. Something practical to think about Is this going to be workforce housing by the time you go through all the process and the other monetary expenses? So I think sometimes an area that we choose, we need to choose wisely so we don't impact cultural significant sites, but also don't have timely delays and other costs that then make it so it doesn't pencil out and it doesn't work out. So I think looking at a place that has bogs, has wetlands, those all come into concern just from a practical perspective, not even cultural. It's just something to just be mindful of.
I'd like to
Yeah.
share,
Go ahead, Uncle.
this from the last from our last meeting, this invokes emotions again, looking at all these slides. And when I see Vai, like Kole said, Vai Nui, yeah. Early were Akamai when they gifted this parcel of land. When I see Vai, it tells me it was a thriving community that supported, and all of this later on slides and stuff like that. But it was a thriving community. I visit with some kupuna from Kambana and a family that worked at the old Haila Hospital. They had said that yes, it was a thriving community, and when the words bog and all those Western words, it was value, Tara Kupuna. They valued those gifts from Makua, and they made it very productive. But these families, at one time, I'm not sure that there was a place for like a kalaupapa. It was sequestered for people who were sick. What kind of sick, I don't know. But that's why I asked the question that if Ship D was included. I sit on Ship D because that tells me there's a because of the erosion. I wouldn't be surprised if Evie is there. Evie Kupuna is there. And this process, I hope it echoes towards other developments such as this. And I agree, we need hale. We need homes. And I think it's affordable. I think it's a home that we can afford. And when we do extensive study on this area, I'm just concerned. There's Vai Nui. Our ancestors look at that as wealth. Kule, he getting me all choked up too over here. But I have to echo what Kule was sharing that this is Akualani. This is heavenly place, this huge area. And the names that were placed there tells a whole different story of where space and time began. That we are not truly knowledgeable of it, but just looking at this slide, it's evident that it was once a thriving community. And I hope we find the pico of what happened there, and that we move what happened there forward to today, how we can come to a solution, which is to provide housing that we can afford.
Thank you. Yeah, so some of the thoughts that I've been having about this project, and it kind of speak to, sort of the of this place, our understanding of what's there right now, all of these different features. But there's also this kind of untold story that may be present in this area. It's kind of the story that's even though it's untold, it's always speaking to us all the time, and it's the story of the Aina, right? The memory of the Aina. And this specific place is pretty interesting, given that it's on an old Mauna Loa flow. There's actually very few places that are that old that are monowall. Makes up maybe like 5% of, you know, all of Manaloa's flows. And it holds this swamp area, right? That really has the potential to preserve botanical materials over a long period of time. And so there's this, I think, you know, as you consider the different exploratory analyses that you may be doing going forward, it's worth considering, you know, examining that area to see, you know, is there some steady accumulation within that swamp area. And I could tell you something about what was there before Hawaiʻi became people. And it could also shed some light on these different transitions that we are kind of hypothesizing, right? You know, what was the mode of habitation in this area from, you know, Hawaiians first arriving there and through the missionaries and so forth. And there really might be a record in there of that can be told through the eyes of the plants, through the eyes of different kinds of materials that might be preserved. And I appreciate what you guys are doing, even at this stage, considering like how you might interpret the area, how you might have preservation spaces. But I think that would bring kind of a bigger context and maybe help answer some of these questions, you know, that we're kind of trying to piece together with these these different rock features that are out there and so forth. And, you know, I think one other point I might make about that as well is it's not on these maps, but nearby there's a pool that's named after Opeapea, right? And we know this area has a lot of Opeapea. Right? If you go to the baseball stadium, I know when I was a kid, that's what I would do, to turn on the lights, and whoa, you see them all flapping around, right? And so, you know, maybe this doesn't fit into rock walls or even being buried, but for me, it fits into this deeper genealogy that was built around what was on this. And it's important to consider that as well in these development plans, how you will help contribute to our OPEP, of course, in their habitat and support. And what kind of plants you may put in there, what kind of corridor you might build for their that would help them the best. So those are some of my thoughts on this project. It's kind of unique, kind of in the place that it is, and sort of this memory bank that might be right next to your development. You know, also worth considering how that might be damaged if it in fact is a stable accumulation site. You know, how are you going to preserve that, you know, for future study?
Thank you. Yeah. No, I've been thinking through all the places that, you know, soil's accumulated, and where's a great place to, you know, get that deeper history from the archaeology, you know, and use that tool to help, you know, fill in those blanks in the story. So
maybe some things that can be done with the rock walls as well, just give some sort of dating.
Yeah, like
the last saw sign.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, all I know right now is 1916, and there's a lot more time before that I can't answer just yet with what I've got.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I appreciate the detail that you and effort that you put into this. But maybe going forward, some of these things can be incorporated.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
I just wanted to add a couple comments. When I first, I mean, being new to the commission and being a kiddo, but being a nerd at the same time. So I've been like reading through all of this stuff, and my husband's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I gotta read through this," and he's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I want to understand it." my husband, is the information officer at the top of Waipio Valley. And, he's been there for like 18 years. And so his main job is to educate people about Waipio Valley before they enter. And so he's gained a lot of knowledge, and through him, maybe he not realizing and maybe me not pointing out, but I've learned a lot from him about like just really taking a look. You know, we terra farm down there. We work the land down there. And when I saw the maps come up and I saw this map and I was like, what is all of those black dots? You know, what is all that? It's such a high concentration of stuff, you know. And my husband always says, and whenever we have groups, we just have the University of Wisconsin come down on Monday, because they've got this course called Living History of the Big Island in Wisconsin. They come here for 2 weeks a year. They've been coming to our place for 12 years. They come here for 2 weeks and they tour all over. And they're all biology students because we've got 11 of the 13 climatic zones. So it's a perfect learning place for them. So anyway, we take them down to Waipio. And every time we have one of these groups come down, my husband always says, we all got to remember the land is chief, we're just its servants. And so sitting on the commission for me brings to me my point that I am now a servant of not just Waipio and the land that we take care of, but our whole moku, our whole island. And there's so many spots, Hawaiʻi, we look at here, you know, that have this concentration of stuff that we don't all understand. Then we've got people like you guys that come in and take a look at it, you know. You guys are gonna go back and go do more research. Are you guys gonna do like a study to identify what the mounds are and look at them? You know, I realize at looking at that, like how many of those are gonna be wiped off? And then no more. No more. Once they're gone, they're gone. We've seen that with YPO, you know, and not just because of the tidal waves, but because of just moving forward in the future, just things happening, you know, people coming in, opening land, you know, just pushing that stone wall. Where's the stone wall that was there? Stone wall's gone. Oh, they're not supposed to push them. Too late, it's gone. You know, so for me, it kind of weighs heavy that we're looking at wiping all of that stuff off. You know, because once it's gone, it's gone. And, you know, even telling the story, you know, finding out what the story is so that we can tell the story. That's good, that we should be doing that. We should be doing that with all of the different places that we develop here on our island. But we shouldn't be wiping them all off, because once they're gone, they're gone. You know, and every day on my radio show, I always do a Olelo No'eau of the day. And just yesterday, the Olelo No'eau was Ikava Mamua, Ikava Mahope. In the future is the past. How do we save that past?
As an archaeologist, oftentimes we're seen as scientists and we're very good at who, what, where, when, right? Who, Kanakamali, when, where, you know, the why is always the brass ring and also the hardest thing to get at, and that is the qualification. So the quantification is fairly easy. Count the mounds, map them in, but I'm always trying to hold people to a higher standard in Maui County and everywhere, and to try to get to that why. If it's out there in the place names, in the Olelo or the Malays or any of that, it had such a richness. And archaeoastronomy is a burgeoning field now because everyone's looking down. A lot of that stuff, right, as above, so below. So there's so many more things, and I think that just understanding that he did such a great presentation, very in depth, but there's even more that can be done. And look at everything, because again, like you said, once it's gone, you know. But why it was there, and that's where all the place names and things was like, you know, I don't speak Hawaiian, but I work with the Department of Ogi Resources, and so we have a whole Paka'olelo division that does all our research, and it's been so enlightening. So I think that is the way that things are moving in Hawaii, to do a little bit more qualitative as well as quantitative and understanding before it's gone.
Thanks.
Just looking around the room. Uncle Des, would anyone else like to say anything? Ben, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, nobody else says anything. I really appreciate all the information and the, EK and all you guys are sharing with me. It really helps a lot. And, as Neil and I have been talking about this project, we're trying to make sure we do this the right way. And that's why we're here so early in this process. So I really appreciate, what you're all saying. And now I can go try to hit him up for some more money to do.
I appreciate the rigor you're applying to the work because it is very nice to see.
Yeah, and this.
And coming forward and coming and talking to groups before you make decisions. I think that's super, should be.
And one of the things that is being put out there in the public comments on this is that this is sort of this one little green space, like sort of in the middle of developed area. And it is sort of, there's not many spots that haven't been dozed yet in this part of town, right? Like we've got this and then the Micronesian parcel across the way. And so, it is important to do this right. So
maybe the green space that they originally had planned, some kind of a, interpretive park might be beneficial in a way. I don't know. It seems that they had that idea that this would be a problematic place to develop. And then they come back to it. And I see that, in Maui County as well, because they have the land and we definitely need Hale. We definitely need places to put people, but always at what price, not just cultural, but also if you go into an area that's eventually not going to be buildable. We've seen it do a lot of work and then realize this isn't a place that anything can be built.
And that was one of the things that I, in my mind, I kept tossing around. It's like, we need the Hale, we need the places for our families. My house is soon to become a 3-generation house. We're expecting our first great grandbaby next month. So I've got myself, I've got my kids and my grandkids, actually 4. And then we're gonna have a great grandkid. And I'm looking at my children, I'm looking at my grandchildren, and so we need the housing for them, you know what I mean, so that they can get out. But at the same time, it's like we also need to preserve this for the next generation. So you got to find that balance. And so that's one of the things that I keep tossing around in my head is like, how do we find the balance? But totally appreciate that you guys are coming here early on, and not waiting until,
Yeah, the bulldozer's coming.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
her skull rolls out. No,
Yeah.
it's not agricultural.
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for that.
And I have a question.
Yes.
I might be confusing the area, but I feel like recently in the paper, there was a wilderness park the county is proposing, kind of just, you guys know all about this, right?
Oh, yeah, the one that Matthias Kuch.
Yes.
The Bikini Islands one, yeah.
Yes, correct. So I'm just spitballing. Would that make a better site for your development and make this the wilderness park? I don't know the answer, but I'm just, because they're close by each other and they were talking about road extensions and
Yeah.
safe routes and.
I'm just the cultural. The county is better person to ask that.
Aaron, I can tell you that we don't have the money to buy that parcel. This parcel we already own, and I'm trying to be very sensitive to everything you guys are saying. And I'm really reluctant to do any more subsurface investigation because there's no indigenous plants left. Everything that's there is growing in and out of the mounds and the walls, and we would be destroying them just to look at them. So I'd rather protect them and preserve them and use it as an opportunity to share with the community what they are and were. And the 20 acres or 1/3 of the whole parcel, including the wetlands, could become a wilderness park. And we're going to develop trails and pathways for the public to come and go. And I think interpretive things and allow people to move through there would be really beneficial. Although I'd like to see some way to keep them on the path, just so they don't disturb things that are there. So I just want to let you know, I understand and hear what you're saying because I've developed other properties on Waianui. And yes, there are caves and there are shallow areas and there are shelves of lava, things like that we're going to find. And we need to do more and more investigation. But the development right now is not going to be big, single family homes, 2-story townhouses, things that people can own and move into with little cost. So I'm excited about doing something and I'd like to see it move forward.
Thank you, Neil.
And before I forget, Aaron, the statute is called the HRS 201H 4615. So that's the path that we're looking at.
Can you repeat that again?
HRS 201H 4615 allows for experimental housing.
This is experimental. The house.
Well,
Sorry.
the multifamily within the RS10 or RS10 area would be more developmental, experimental to some degree. Again, we're talking about 2-story townhouses, things that people would own from the ground to the sky.
No yards, just common areas, right?
Common areas, no yards, that's right. And community centers, play courts, and areas that are preserved and protected as we need to. For anything that's unique, for example, that I'd like to not even touch them, just leave them alone.
I can so appreciate that. Thank you so much. Sorry, Kealoha.
Sorry.
I just wanted to say, yeah, that's exciting. Something that you did say, Kealoha, a memory bank. A memory bank. That is cool. So if that's, if to the extent that can be done, it's about what are we preserving as opposed to, I mean, there's always going to be what is destroyed as well. But what are we preserving? Can we? And to what extent can we preserve this memory bank? And so I like I can appreciate what you're saying about not even touching perhaps some of the mounds and making some of the more marshy bog, very mo'o areas. Let's not touch those perhaps, but maybe some walking, because we do perhaps in some of the practices want to access those areas in time of ceremony, perhaps retrieve some of the water that we do take into ceremony, whatever the reasons may be. And then there are those areas that we should not go. So just trying to make sure that we perhaps, to the best of our abilities, address those things. There are some places that are off limits, no go, period. Some places that we will and should perhaps be able to access, but what are we preserving as I am? I love that. Looking at this and every other site perhaps as memory banks.
Well, you're
Wow.
making our decisions that much easier by telling me what you feel is important, and I appreciate that. I would love to preserve and maybe even restore where the well site was. Is basically the ground is bubbling up with water at this location and a pipe running out of it. I don't know if that's possible. We may end up coming back to you if it's something we can pursue.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had just a point of clarification, like I thought I heard you say that you were opposed to subsurface investigation.
I am, because there's no indigenous plants there. Everything that is growing out of the ground is ruining the locations that we might look into. So as soon as we start doing subsurface and removing the trees just to get in there, we're going to destroy all those locations and there'll be no more history.
But that doesn't include something like the swamp area, for example.
We're not even going to go there. No, that's not even part of what we're considering. Absolutely not.
Well, then I will just make a note of my opposition to that. But I think there is a memory here. I think there is more context that you can bring to this space and understand sort of like what it was used for and how it was used. And I think it's unfortunate that you didn't hear that clearly from all of the different folks that have testified so far or in this commission.
I understand completely. I would like to learn more about it as well. I just don't want to lose those locations because we're going to look at them. I'd rather preserve them, protect them right now.
I think there might be a little bit of wire crossing here. So that swamp area you can see on that map up there is actually not inside where the project's going to happen. And that's on that state-owned parcel. So it's not in what the county has control over. And so.
But the hydrology is connected, right? I mean, all the springs and it's all.
Yeah, the springs are. But,
It's the same substrate.
right.
And it's right next to.
Right.
Yes.
Great. I think you'd have a hard argument saying that they're not.
I mean,
would it be reflective of what's happening in that area?
No, yeah, I understand. It sounds, what I think I hear is that you are asking to do like environmental reconstruction type investigations inside that swamp.
If you want to know how the space was being used, and there's a stable accumulation of biological materials that are in there, that's how you would do it.
And so, okay, and we could talk about what it might take you know, what that would actually look like archaeologically as a addition to the project. So you're right with, we can talk about that offline, you know.
Yeah, we did it.
Absolutely. I'm all ears. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we did it at Waiʻi, Scott Fisher and Hilt. They did soil cores in all the wetlands and looked at palynology and looked at when canoe plants arrived and the different types of things that had been there. So if you do have that sedimentation, it'd be very interesting. It could be quite the classroom, quite the living classroom.
Okay, yep. Talk about what that would actually look like.
Yeah. Again, thank you very much. And I'm glad Mara's here because this is something that she and I are going to go through on another project.
But yeah, I think I'm not monopolizing. So
Are we still here for quorum?
yeah, I think so.
Are we still good on quorum?
Yeah.
I just like to recess briefly just to make sure that when we do, or if and when we do motions that we're all here. So if we could take a 5-minute recess,
Thank you.
extra break.
Matter of fact, you.
Do you guys know where the restrooms are? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
cables.
That's
Usually,
after.
yeah,
Stuff.
the
Oh,
testing strategy for
is there a
the.
third one? Sorry, my bad.
No.
Let's get Matt back in the chair. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for the break. I would like to ask if anyone else has anything they'd like to share or ask questions about to the OHCD staff or to to Ben. No questions at this time. Okay, thank you for presenting. I'd be willing to accept any kind of motion at this point, and there's a couple of sample motions listed. I think we have to make a motion before we can discuss.
If you want to take an action, yes, you will need a motion.
Okay. I'm partial to the first motion. It just reads that I move the staff be directed to draft a letter summarizing the comments made during this meeting and present the draft to the commission for review and approval at the next regular meeting. I'm also a fan of continue to be involved, the CRC continue to be involved with the project as a consulting entity. Because we want to be involved. Yeah. And especially as your plans may or may not change over time, depending on the information you may gain, we would love to be updated. Sorry, that I'm not allowed to make motions. Sorry.
I so move. That works. There we go. Good enough.
Is that okay? Ashley? Okay, thank you. So I basically read the first motion. The second motion has to do with transmitting,
They could be all one.
they can be all one,
You can
okay.
Lump it all together in one.
I definitely would like to have a record document, documenting the CRC's comments and input. I think that's good for the longevity of the commission and the project. And I guess it's open for discussion now. Okay. And our next regular meeting is usually monthly. So we would be reviewing our notes at the next meeting. It would just be a draft letter summarizing the comments, so we would then vote on accepting it into the record. Okay. And because you're not quite in the 6E yet, learning all this stuff too, maybe more would come when like, let's say you did come in with a formal presentation, the 6E, it's all in front of us, we see everything you're gonna do. Shipy's involved. Maybe our recommendations are different, because right now we'll call it preliminary.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. It's beyond conceptual, but it's preliminary.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Need a motion to vote. Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thanks. My, yeah,
If you think this is gonna be unanimous, you can do just all in favor. If you think you may have,
well, let's put it on the record as a roll call anyway, just for convenience, sorry. So we have a motion and we have a second. Could we please call roll call vote?
Commissioner Darday? In favor. Second was Commissioner, Singh?
Yep.
Sorry, like out of the roll call for each. Okay, then we've got Commissioner Kalakina, Kaylani. Commissioner Kinney.
Aye.
Commissioner, Hamea,
I'm
and
hungry.
Commissioner, Chair
I abstain.
Spielman.
he is
Aye.
abstained.
Yeah, it's. And then the.
Yeah.
My abstain.
Thank you. So the motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Not to say we can't have another motion if anybody would like to have anything, suggest anything. Okay, I don't see any other motions on the floor at this time. We'd love to have you back for more presentation, more information. We'd love to learn more about this project. And sorry, so that was kind of two motions wrapped up in one. One was the
Actions.
two of it, two, yeah. So the regular next regular meeting will have some sorry, a draft letter summarizing the comments. And then we also want to remain as a consultant to the project. Is that right?
Yes.
That will be included in that letter.
Okay, super, thank you. Okay. And then eventually when we write or sign it, maybe we have a different motion to share that with the agency. And okay, thank you. All right. All that being said, I'm happy to turn it back over to Matt for agenda item number 3. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you, Mr. Thielman, and everyone should take note of how well he did. There will be an upcoming vote for.
Thank you all. I'm going to leave now, but I'm open to whatever you guys want to do, and Ben and I will work out the details.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Mahalo.
Appreciate you showing up. Thanks, Ben. So now we're on to new business of the commission. And this is review and comment on proposed testing strategy for an archaeological inventory survey for the Hawaiian Island Fiber Link project, location PACRC and UH Hilo, Waiakea, Pua'a, South Hilo District, Island of Hawaii. And are there any members of the public who wish to provide testimony at this time on this item?
No public testifiers here.
Matt,
Yeah.
this is about UH Hilo. Like, are they the people that are?
I think we'll find out right now. Just staff, do you know?
They may have a conflict of interest because I'm part of the faculty.
I don't believe that UH Hilo is the applicant or representative in this case. It's the communication.
I think we can introduce the project team to let us know if you feel like there's a conflict. You can let us know.
I was just saying that we did this on Maui and it's gonna come to Maui College, but it doesn't have anything to do with Maui College.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah,
landing place.
No.
Hi, Mar.
But yeah, I'm going to introduce Samara Moroni from Pacific Legacy to present. And sorry for the delay, Mara, but I think that other project was pertinent to this one, perhaps.
Yeah, no apology needed. I hope you all can hear me. I'm in the urban jungle of Honolulu. Aloha mai kākou.
Aloha.
I'd just like to thank you all for the opportunity to come and speak with you today about the HIFL project, or the Hawaiian Islands Fiber Link project. With me today is Cliff Miyake, and we do have a short presentation. I promise it's not an hour long. And so if I'm able to share my screen, I'll go ahead and tee up our PowerPoint. If you can enable screen sharing for me. It looks like the sharing function isn't turned on for this meeting. I just sent, there we go. Okay.
You should be good now.
Excellent. Okay, let's see if I can get this. Too many things on my screen right now. Okay, there we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is actually the second time that we're coming to the Hawaii Island Cultural Resources Commission. We did send a letter regarding Section 106 consultation that's being triggered by a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers permit for this project back in September. And we'd like to thank the commission for their response, which was received in November. And so now we're here today to continue Section 106 consultation, also continuing consultation under HRS Chapter 6E. And we'd like to discuss our archaeological inventory survey testing strategy with you today. As I mentioned, or as Matt mentioned, my name is Mara Mulrooney. I am a senior archaeologist with Pacific Legacy, and we are part of a very large team that's assisting with this project. You see some of the consultants listed there on the screen. And this is a public-private partnership between the University of Hawaii and Ocean Networks. And Cliff is here from Ocean Networks to answer any specific questions about the project itself and its design, and also to provide a really high-level project description. We thought this was a good opportunity to kind of formally introduce the project to you and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm actually going to turn it over to Cliff. I guess I can explain the project location now. So this is a project. On the previous screen, you saw the entire Pai'aina, right? This is a project that seeks to connect 6 islands here in the Hawaiian archipelago. And so you have cable landing sites across the islands on, of course, Hawaii Island, Maui, Molokai, Lanai, Oahu, and Kauai. And so today, of course, we're going to focus on the Hilo cable landing station, which really consists of 2 discrete project areas that you see here on the map. So one of the things that the project team for HIFL has done is to minimize ground disturbance relating to this project, understanding that those impacts have potential, right, to be very destructive, right, in terms of ground disturbance. And so you see 2 sort of disparate project area polygons. The first is located at the UH Hilo Pacific Aquaculture and Coastal Resource Center, also known as PACRIC, in Puhi Bay. And then we have a cable landing station at UH Hilo. And so what will happen is the subsea cable will come onshore at PACRIC, and then it will connect to existing overhead lines, existing infrastructure heading all the way up to the UH Hilo campus. And then it's going to go back underground in existing conduit, and there will be a short segment of new conduit which will be required. And we'll talk about that a little bit later in the presentation. But just understanding that we do have 2 sort of discrete polygons here, both situated in Waiakea, Ahupua'a. So I'll turn it over to Cliff and he'll give you a little bit more information about the project.
Aloha, my name is Cliff Miyake. I'm with Ocean Networks. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Ocean Networks. And this project actually got its start in 2022. The U.S. Treasury Department, out of their capital project funds, gave a grant to the state of Hawaii of $101.7 million. And with that grant funds, it's to be used for critical infrastructure improvements. And what the state deemed as quite essential is to have connectivity between the islands for high-speed internet, because as a society, we've become pretty dependent on it for many, many things. So the state put out a bid for people to respond to. Ocean Networks did respond to it. The total project is going to probably be in the range of $125 to $130 million to build, to connect all the islands. And some of the grant funds will be used for it. The balance of the funds will be funded through Ocean Networks, and that is why we've created a public-private partnership. It's actually between Ocean Networks and the state of Hawaii. The University of Hawaii was a designated representative by the state, by the Lieutenant Governor's office, to be the designated representative to provide the oversight for the state of Hawaii for the project. As we said, the project will connect all 6 islands, and there are 5 segments that the total mileage is about 400 miles statewide. On the Big Island, we will land into Hilo. After doing some extensive studies, all the previous systems land on the Kauai side. Hilo had been bypassed historically, and we thought for redundancy, resiliency, as well as to bring a good amount of bandwidth to the island, the best place would be to bring it to Hilo, where it's never been brought before. Once we get to Hilo, we'll take it up to the University of Hawaii Hilo, where the cable landing station will be built. Mark, can you go to the next slide?
Sorry, Cliff. I think I'm having connectivity issues. Can you
Oh.
hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
How bizarre. So it's probably going to zoom through all of the slides now since we're sort of stuck here.
Well, I was gonna
There we
say,
go.
there.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Okay. You know, just a sidebar here, just to point out the power of broadband. I'm actually talking to you from our engineering offices today, and I'm in Johns Creek, Georgia, talking to you right now. Wish I was at home in Hawaii because tonight over here it's going to be 31 degrees and we're at the high of the day of 53. So, man, I miss the islands right now. Okay, so the project description, what we're building is called the middle mile infrastructure, which connects all the islands to each other. The way we do it is we surface lay fiber optics on the bottom of in the channels on the bottom of the ocean between the islands. We bring it ashore into a beach manhole, connect that, and as much as possible, we try to get onto existing infrastructure as quickly as possible, which in the islands is up on the telephone poles. And then we take it to a cable landing station to terminate the traffic or the bandwidth there. At that point, users of the bandwidth can connect to that location and pick up the connectivity and bring it inland to the homes and businesses. Up there on the screen, you see that Sharpie highlighter, and next to it, that little fanned out item there. In the middle, what's sticking up is the fibers. That's actually what transmits the communications. What's around it that's fanned out is strength members. And what you see right there, that little piece, that's the type of fiber we lay in the deep ocean channel because there's not a lot that could disturb it. As we come closer to shore, we put a little bit of reinforcement around that and then wrap it in like a sealant to bring it ashore to protect it. Okay, next slide, Mara. Okay, as Mara mentioned earlier, this is kind of like the project footprint. We will land at Backrack, coming through Puhi Bay. You can see that inset where we bring it ashore and onto land. And right there where that white line starts is where there's a telephone pole where Helco has a line, and we'll jump on to that and use that to get that whole pole line to get all the way back up to the university campus, where we will terminate the system. At the campus, part of the reason we went to the campus is it's number one, is state property, and the state is a part owner of this system, as well as all the people, the communications companies who probably want to use the bandwidth on it are already also at the university there, being Hawaiian Tel, Charter Spectrum, AT&T Wireless, Verizon Wireless, and T-Mobile are some of the users, and they're all there with their own fiber, so they can easily cross-connect to get the bandwidth to then take it and distribute it around the island. Can we go to the next slide, Mar? Okay, so this is an image on how we will actually land the cable into Hilo. When there's a lot of studying we did that's technical and a lot of engineering we did, but we also did a lot of outreach into the community. We learned quite a bit about Puhi Bay. We learned so much, in fact, that we decided we really need to protect the bay and we need to protect the culture and some of the practices that have been done historically there. As a result, we've changed our engineering quite a few times to minimize any impact and to maximize bringing the connectivity in. So on the far left there, you can see a black dot. From there is our launch point from land to the sea. And what we do is we actually will bore down into the ground and go as deep as we can. On the bottom of the bottom image, you can see the steep angle. So we'll drill down underground, and we'll go all the way out to what we call a punch-out point, where we actually come up on the ocean bottom. And by doing it in this fashion, we are under the under the bay, we're under the land all the way out till we come out. The location where we're coming out is about 1,200 feet out to sea, and it's at about a 30-foot depth. By doing it in this fashion, we don't interfere with any of the subsistence gathering near shore, any of the cultural practices that happen near shore. We also protect all of that. The location we chose to punch out is also a sandy location, and so we'll come out there, and then we'll transit from there out to the deeper water. And the path we've chosen as we go out to the deep water is we're using the sand channels that are between the coral, because we want to protect the coral as we go out to sea. There is some little bit of conduit like we put on the bottom in the near shore piece as we transit out, but that sits in the sand channel. And actually, one of the beneficial things of that conduit that is on the surface is we're talking to the Mega Lab folks about seeing if we can put some underwater cameras on that, so there'll be real-time imaging that can come from the bay, and that can be used by the charter school in Keaukaha and the curriculum, for the keiki to use in some of the additional learning. And we're working with Dr. Stephen Doe and Dr. John Burns to try and get some curriculum developed, to add value, as well as when we met with the community members in Keaukaha, one of the things they were really concerned about was that a lot of the kupuna are passing, and there's a lot of oral history and a lot of practice that's lost as that continues. So one of the things we are kind of doing as part of our outreach is we're going to have on-island representatives who can go out and record, take the oral history down, record it, and working with the university, we will store it digitally and then put it on the internet. So, anyone can come to play back that, and that way we can hopefully preserve some of that legacy, as part of the project. Okay, I guess hand it back to you, Mara.
Sorry, thanks, Cliff. And I don't know what's going on. I apologize. I'm double booked today, so I'm sitting outside of the Oahu Island Burial Council meeting with you all today. So I skipped over somehow our slides, and I can't seem to get it to go back. But as you can imagine, a lot of consultation has been done to date for this project. So our team has been working with Tetra Tech most directly on the environmental assessment. So as Cliff mentioned, a number of community meetings have taken place under the overall sort of umbrella of the development of the draft EA. We've also been working on a CIA, a cultural impact assessment, and kapa'akai analysis for the entire project, which has been quite exciting for our team to learn about all of these areas more in depth. And we've conducted a series of interviews for the CIA and kapa'akai analysis. We also conducted a literature review and field inspection. So both of those documents are going to be included in the EA, which we are hoping is published next month. So we'll certainly keep you all apprised of that. So what we've been focused on most recently is developing an appropriate testing strategy for the archaeological inventory survey. So unsurprisingly, SHPD has requested an AIS for this project with subsurface testing. So we've been working closely with the project team to look at those proposed areas of ground disturbance and to design our AIS testing strategy based on that, as well as the extensive consultation feedback that we've received specific to that strategy, as well as the Section 106 consultation and HRS 6E consultation that we've done so far. So in terms of previous archaeology, again, just a high level sort of overview for you all today. So in the proposed cable landing site area at Puhi Bay, we have 4 previous archaeological studies that have been conducted within a half a mile of the project area or area of potential effect. They've identified a number of architectural historic properties in this area, of course, reflecting the Keaukaha community and the development of Hilo Harbor, especially. And so this is a list of the significant architectural historic properties, which are shown in orange on the map there. Now, at this location, we also conducted a field inspection as part of the LRFI, following the background research that we conducted, which showed no previously identified historic properties in the area. Of course, we identified those very large tanks, which used to be part of the former wastewater treatment facility, which are now being utilized by PACRIC, by the University of Hawaii, for research purposes. There's also a modern platform that you see on the map there. And this is one that at first, our team went out and saw a nice low stack stone platform. And we thought, ooh, could this be a historic property? Through extensive consultation with community members and others, it was subsequently identified in SHPD, of course. It was subsequently identified as a platform at Piggy's Point, which was built in honor of Uncle Piggy, who really enjoyed fishing and gathering at this point. And so it was built by his family recently as a memorial. So we thought that was, of course, important to include in our map. And in fact, one of our participants in the CIA, Lokelani Brandt, was concerned about the alignment of the cable going near this area. And so what you saw on that kind of profile drawing that Cliff described at Puhi Bay, when it crosses the shoreline in this area, it's going to be at a depth of about, I think, 40 to 50 feet when it goes sort of underneath Piggy's Point. So no impacts expected there.
If I could
So
add,
in terms, yeah,
that's
ahead.
Ohana Kaleohano.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it,
Okay, so given that, right, that the cable will drop significantly and quickly, what we're proposing is to place an AIS test trench in the area which is known as the beach manhole. So that's where the cable comes up to the surface. So that's PH-01 on the map there. So you can see the beach manhole footprint in green, and our proposed test trench, which will be 5 meters long by 2.5 feet wide in that area of the beach manhole. And then once it comes up to the surface, then it will travel via subsurface conduit to that overhead, to that power pole, right, where it will subsequently go overhead. So we planned an additional trench along the line of that conduit. Now, we have reached out to all of our CIA participants, as well as various organizations and NHOs who have been participating in consultation for this project thus far. We did hear back from OHA. They encouraged us, of course, to consult often and before we get to the field for the AIS testing. Across the board, everybody, not everybody, but many people have made the recommendation of having not only archaeological monitors on site during project construction, but also cultural monitors who are from these particular communities. So we're working on finding a cultural monitor for this portion of the project as well. Most people have, actually, everybody who we've reached out to who's responded in terms of the AIS testing strategy has responded positively. Helena Kupuni Reynolds, with whom we've been consulting extensively for this project, and has generously given a lot of his time to talking with us and sharing. He doesn't see any issue here because there has been a large amount of ground disturbance in this particular area as well. So if we head up then to the UH Hilo campus, a lot of archaeological studies in the immediate surrounds in this area within half a mile. So we have 11 previous archaeological studies. They have identified some of the sites that you called out, Matt, in your response letter to the Section 106 outreach, including a lot of historic agriculture, including mounds, walls, enclosures, pits, platforms, modified outcrops, and drainage features, of course. Post-contact temporary habitation features, so tied to the agricultural landscape as well, and changes to agricultural use in the area. And one pre-contact agricultural and possible habitation complex, which is located about 200 meters east of the project area. And those are the sites that you pointed out in your letter as well as being significant, and of course encouraging us to think about the wider cultural landscape in this area. So at the UH Hilo campus, of course, we know that the campus itself is historic, having been established in 1947. So we don't have any previously identified historic properties, but we do have some potential historic properties that are related to the development of the campus. Because all of the buildings look so similar, we have to do a little bit more homework in terms of figuring out which buildings were there first. And we have done a lot of that in terms of looking at the historic aerial photos, especially. So here within the project area, or APE, we have a concrete culvert, the Wentworth building, and the Business Education and Technology building, which are labeled there on the screen. So within this area, just as we had at Patrick, we're proposing trenches that are specifically geared to test where we're going to have subsurface excavation taking place for this project. So the cable landing station is proposed to be in a modular structure adjacent to the business ed and tech building. And so that's what you see sort of in peach, with an adjoined generator pad next door. So we're planning to put one test trench right in the center of that footprint. And then where the underground conduit is going to connect to existing infrastructure on campus, we've proposed 2 additional 5-meter long trenches in that area. So in terms of our next steps, so we'll be continuing consultation on this project. The AIS testing strategy has been submitted to SHPD, but of course, if you have mana'o to share on the testing strategy itself, we can always, submit it as needed. We'll be continuing to refine that in consultation with all of you, as well as cultural descendants from each of the ahupua'a where the cable is coming on shore, participating Native Hawaiian organizations, other consulting parties, OHA, and the Island Burial Councils. So once that testing strategy is approved by SHPD, we'll complete AIS fieldwork, continue consultation, sharing the results of that fieldwork. Maybe an hour-long presentation is in your future. You never know. And then we'll prepare and submit the draft AIS report to SHPD. Now, of course, parallel to that is the draft EA process. So as I mentioned, the goal is to publish that next month, including the draft CIA and Kapa'akai analysis and the LRFI. And then, of course, project permitting and construction further down the road. So, of course, we're here today to, again, continue consultation with all of you under Section 106 and Chapter 6E, but also request any specific comments that you might have on the draft AIS testing strategy that we've presented today. You're always welcome to email me with any comments as well. Mahalo nui. Open the floor to any discussion.
Mahalo, Mara. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate all the work that's gone into this project. Thinking now that maybe your technical difficulties are related to the cable going to Kauai and not the Hilo.
Right.
I don't have any specific, I think the testing strategy to me looks appropriate, but I would say since you're going to UH Hilo, it would be great if you could make an effort to reach out to perhaps Peter Mills in the archaeology class. And if you're testing on campus to include some of the students and give them a chance to see how that works, I think would be a great opportunity for them, would be my one comment. I opening up to other folks who may have anything to share or comments to provide.
I had a question.
Yes.
I think I heard cultural monitoring, or sorry, archaeological monitoring at the Puhi Bay site. Would that also be taking place at the UH Hilo site? Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes. So we'll be recommending archaeological monitoring for the entirety of project construction.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mara. Thanks
Uh,
for your presentation to you and Cliff. I was wondering, you know, when you go underground on the shoreline at Puhi Bay and whatnot, relative to the water table and whatnot, are you guys like above it? Below or like right? Because water is all under our mokupunis. So, and
Yeah.
I don't know hydrology all that much, but so the hole you guys going dig, the trench or whatnot, is it
Ye-
affect the weight at all underground?
So when we're talking firstly about can you hear me? Sorry.
Yep.
So in terms of the AIS testing, we will go down to the water table for the testing. When it comes to project construction, of course, it will go below the water table, remembering that this is a subsea cable that is designed to be on the ocean floor, and then it's going to come up through that conduit. And so the way that process works is by horizontal direct drilling. And so the archaeological and cultural monitor will be on site. It basically, as you drill down, right, sort of diagonally, the soil is going to come up. And so that's why we're testing at that beach manhole area, because that's where we will have the cultural layer, right? Before it sort of drops down and goes to that HDD punch out point and on the ocean floor. Did that answer your question? So basically we're testing the area that has potential to have subsurface cultural layers.
Yeah, thanks. And in my neck of the woods in North Kona, at Kaupulehu, we have a beautiful project of reforestation of coral in Kahuvai Bay, where my grandfather and great grandmother was born. So seeing that reforestation of coral under the kai is beautiful. So where the cables and whatnot, you know, end up, I know you guys said in channels or whatnot, sand. But with the kai and the ale, you know, all storm surge, whatnot, does it move those cables in any way, even if it's on the sand? Is there potential for damage to coral, the reef, or anything? Is that a
Yeah,
possibility?
it is a possibility normally, and that is why, as we looked at the location, and we actually had divers down, we mapped the route, and we looked at the path through the corals in the sand channels between the corals. That is why we determined a good thing to do is sleeve the cable, you know, and the cable kind of looks like this, so it'll be in another conduit on the bottom, and what happens is that protects it from rolling and moving with the tidal movements. It kind of puts it, and over time, it actually buries itself into the sand, which further secures it down there. What remains exposed, interestingly enough, and we've seen it in some of our other projects, say in Guam and Okinawa, is the corals actually like that pipe and they will go to it and they start growing on it. And because of that, we have a project where in Okinawa, the government of Japan told us the cable stopped being used and they told us remove it. And so we sent divers down and we took the route, we videoed the whole route, and we went back to the government and we said, we can take it out, but as you can see, the corals have grown on this, and they were like the tree type, the mountain type. They've grown really tall, and it's all on the path of the cable. And we said we can pull it up, but you're gonna disrupt and damage those corals. We can put them back and we can try and replant, but it's gonna take years for it to recover. So the best route is to just leave it, you know, in place, because we find that the corals and actually the fish and the squid and the eels, they kind of like and are attracted to it once it's down there because it prevents more it presents more places where they can hide and the lemur starts growing over there and they can feed and it creates its own little like ecosystem as over time.
So, mahalo. Yeah, very interesting.
They actually use it to restore coral reefs. The corals are attracted to it.
Yeah, and then also it's kind of ecologically interesting in that under the United Nations laws of the seas, when you put an undersea cable, even in international waters, for a span of feet on either side of it, it becomes protected where you can't do sea mining, you can't do all that kind of disruptive stuff. It creates a protected path on the bottom of the ocean.
Okay. Mahalo.
What happens when, if you've got a disruption for some reason? I mean, if the cable breaks for
Yeah.
who knows what reason?
Yeah, if the cable breaks, what happens is we have to bring a repair ship in. And when we build it, when we lay the cable, pretty precise. So we know like the route, we have a route position table, we call it, and it actually maps exactly where that cable is. So when it breaks, because of the physics of light, you can actually, from land, shoot your signal out and you can see where the break is, how many feet out. So you kind of know how many feet or miles, depending on where it is. So you send the ship there. Then we have to use like robotic things with cameras and the robotic arms. It dives down and it goes and it grapples the cable. We bring it up on the ship. You take out the broken part and you put a new span of cable on one side. You drop it back onto the bottom, but as you drop it, you put a buoy on it because you got to go get the other side now. And you do the same process, pick that up and repair that segment. And then you kind of, from that new piece, you pay it back and the ship backs up to the original break point. You bring up that section and then on ship, it actually will put the cable back together and all the strands of fiber, the glass, you actually use this high pulse of light to fuse it back together. Then you rewrap the cable and protect it again, and then you put it back on the bottom.
Thank you.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy, yeah, size of a Sharpie.
So you just plug it back in.
Sort of.
Sorta.
Any other questions or comments?
I just really support Matt's idea of maybe getting the students involved to see CRM in action. If you can do that, Mara, I think that's a great thing if it's right there on campus.
And actually,
Yeah,
one
and the wonderful thing is that that Jillian Swift is an assistant professor now at UH Hilo, and she actually is the lead author on the CIA for this project. So she's very familiar with it. She's very much looking forward to us being on campus during the AIS, and I guarantee that we will be coordinating with her and her wonderful students at UH Hilo. So I can't wait.
Yeah, and thank you for that. But for one clarification, I don't think I saw in here the testing strategy would be mechanical excavation, I assume, of the trenches.
That's correct. Yes.
I have a comment to Mara and to Cliff. I want to mahalo you folks for including in your presentation our Kiki. I think that's awesome. It caught my ear and mahalo for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other discussion or comments? All right, well, I think we need a motion, and it would be similar to our last motion if we would like to have the staff prepare a letter summarizing our comments to either provide directly to them or to bring it back to us next meeting and provide to them. I guess in this case, since they're looking for approval of the subsurface testing plan already, I would suggest that we move that the staff prepare it. I could review it before the next meeting and then we could send it out to them. Timely manner.
Second that.
I think you have to make the motion.
Oh, sure, I make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Spielman, seconded by Commissioner Almea. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It sounds like the motion carries unanimously. We'll get you a letter summarizing our comments and you should receive that soon. And please feel free to come back to us if for additional consultation and to present your results.
We look forward to it. Mahalo nui, everybody.
Wow.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Mahalo, aloha.
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 All right, that brings us on to administrative matters. I need a approval of minutes for
I move to
December
accept the
10th.
minutes as presented.
Great, can I have a second for that?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Next is election of chair and vice chair of the Cultural Resource Commission for the year 2026. And I am told we have to get this done today.
Status quo. I nominate Matt.
Second that.
I say
Call for the vote.
Aye.
I am honored and I am willing to take it on. I just would like to give an opportunity if anyone else would like to step up. I do feel like I haven't devoted as much time as I should to this position and that more could be done if someone is willing to do that, and I would fully support them.
Not getting away with it.
Okay.
I nominate Matt Clark to continue as president of the CRC for the big.
I second.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
I know
Aye, aye, aye.
mention for vice chair. We do have Uncle Desert is first. Okay. Okay, I guess for the chair then, a roll call vote for myself to continue as the chair of the Cultural Resource Commission for the year 2026.
Okay, sorry, let me get this right now. Who made the motion? Jana made the motion. Who seconded? I did. Alright, excellent. Okay, on the Commissioner 6.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamayao. Aye. Commissioner Hamaya.
Aye.
Commissioner Keakealani. Aye. Commissioner Kinney.
Aye.
And Commissioner Spielman.
Aye.
Chair.
Right. Myself. Sure, aye.
All right, unanimous.
Yay.
And then we need a vice chair, nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Uncle Des to continue in his amazing role as vice chair.
I will certainly second that. Any other nominations? Any? Okay, we have a motion from
Darty.
Commissioner Darty and seconded by Commissioner Clark for Uncle Desmond Helmea to remain vice chair for 2026.
Yeah.
And then a roll call vote, is that how we do it?
Sure. Commissioner Gamayao. Aye. Chair.
Aye.
Commissioner Hamea.
Aye.
Commissioner Keakealani. Aye. Commissioner Kinney.
Aye.
Commissioner 6.
Aye.
And Commissioner Spielman.
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
The next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Staff, are there any additional announcements?
The only announcement I have, and I apologize, I don't have more specifics. The state preservation plan, as you guys remember, is being updated. And they are going to be doing meetings on each island. And sounds like it's gonna be coming up in the next couple months. Their website just sort of says that the draft will be posted and there's gonna be a comment period. But they did mention that there's gonna be some meetings on each island for that update. So I will keep you posted as we get, actual dates and all the information in mind. I think that's the only update I have.
And I guess I have a question about that.
Update, sorry.
In returns of that, can we all attend that meeting or only some of us can?
Dean?
I'm just curious.
I need to check. I think you can attend. because it was not put on specifically for you as a commission. And you just have to make sure that when you're all, just like every other time, when you're all together, that you're not talking about board business. I will double check.
Okay.
And then we would do a report back at the next meeting that.
Yes, so if anybody, yeah, and if anybody didn't go, you would want to report back about generally what you heard.
Okay, sorry, one more announcement. Ashley is leaving our office.
What? Oh.
So this will be her last CRC meeting, serving as secretary, and just want to really mahalo her. Excited for the next step.
Who's that?
Ashley.
Ashley, no, she's not on camera.
Oh, sorry.
Our secretary.
Ashley. She's gonna go camping. That's why. She's got a new camping truck.
Thank you.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a kind of two comments and cut me off if this is not the time, but one is years and years ago, I read at Kona Historical Society some report about Kauai High and the road they put in.
Mhm.
So that might tie with what
That's
George
still
was
around,
talking about.
yes.
And it's vague and it's depressing, but it's the one document they have on Kauai High in Kona for some reason. And then the the other statement of, so I've been sitting on the state task force and it's Pownell. But we had our big meeting last week on Oahu, and Michael Catt at City and County
Yeah.
was mentioning CLG funds.
Yes.
And so I wrote my note and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta talk to Matt. So apparently everyone's aware of it and there are monies, and I just keep thinking about that. You brought that up before. And
I would love to create an agenda item to discuss that, or have someone knowledgeable present, so we have. If you can bring it to me, and like,
sure, can I do that? I can introduce them on email.
Yes, or yeah, well.
I can help you get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
In an
Send
agenda
an
first,
email-
yeah.
Yeah, send an email to Matt and staff,
Sure.
and they can make it an agenda item, and then we can coordinate how to have a whole thing.
Cause it sounds like you knew more about it than I did, which,
I do a lot about it. I just haven't been able to learn enough about it to help influence it.
okay.
Yeah, we're trying to work with Shifty to come and actually like talk story about what it is, how we would access the funds, like all that kind of detail.
Your CLG?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
we haven't quite got there yet.
Administrator Puff was also part of that conversation.
Yeah.
At different times.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
She's brought it up, but she's, super busy, as you may imagine. So
Yeah.
just trying to get, if it's not her, then staff that can come and present to CRC so that we understand again, sort of what's there and how we could make use of that.
Great,
opportunity.
thank you.
Great.
Thanks, man.
Anything else? All right, this concludes the items on this agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'm so moved to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Second.
Second,
Sorry.
all in favor, say aye. Aye. This meeting is adjourned at 12:42 p.m. And Uncle Des, we're sorry you're not here. You're welcome to stick around and watch us eat.
Oh, that's so kind of you, man. Cruel, but kind.
I hope you're feeling better though, seriously.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Aloha.
Aloha.
I want to close in Pule.
Yes.
Yeah. Kamakua e puli ka mea ai. Kamakua ke keiki a me ka ohani hemolele ho'opo mai kai kamako mea ai. Amene. Enjoy your lunch.
Aloha.
Well,